Have you ever looked at your life and thought, what if I could change everything without walking away from it? That single, dangerous little thought is where my story begins. My name is Caroline, and I married Alex 15 years ago. Back then, I thought we had something strong, something worth fighting for. But over the years, my husband transformed, not into the man of my dreams, but into the man who drained me. He became lazy, bitter, and lifeless. He had no job, no motivation, and no interest in me, our home, or even in himself. I worked full-time just to keep us afloat, while he sat in front of the television day after day, doing nothing but demanding tea or beer like some entitled king without a crown. Birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas. He forgot them all. To him, they were just days on a calendar, while to me, they were reminders that I was married to a man who no longer cared whether I felt loved, seen, or alive. Yet as much as I resented him, there was one reason I couldn't leave. I loved our house. Strange, isn't it? I felt tied to the walls around me, to the space we had built, even if the marriage itself was crumbling. Deep down, though, I longed for something impossible, or at least it seemed impossible. I wanted a partner who would adore me, who would cherish me, who would tend to me and our home with devotion. I didn't want to leave Alex. I wanted to change him. I wanted him to become the perfect partner, obedient, attentive, beautiful, a wife, not a husband. That's when the idea began, the one that sounds insane until you hear how it unfolded. My closest friend, Susan, knew my struggles better than anyone. She had been there for years, comforting me, laughing with me, and on those lonely Friday nights, giving me the intimacy Alex refused. With Susan, I felt alive again. She was daring, bold, and a little mischievous. One evening, after a few glasses of wine, we laughed about how perfect it would be if Alex could just switch roles completely. Not just help out, not just change his behavior, but truly become the wife I wanted. The kind of transformation people write about in wild stories, but never actually live. Except, why couldn't we? Susan had a plan, radical, outrageous, and yet it lit a spark of dangerous excitement in me. She told me we could get our hands on hormone pills. With the right story to a sympathetic doctor, we could have more than enough, and we did. Claiming we were dealing with early menopause, we walked away with bottles of pills, plenty to experiment with. From that moment, there was no going back. Slowly, carefully, I began slipping them into Alex's routine. I told him they were vitamins, a little boost for his health. He didn't question it. Why would he? He trusted me. The changes began subtly at first. He started noticing his skin was softer. He began to compliment me on my outfits, even remarking how nice my dress looked one evening. That was the first shock. Alex, who never cared about appearances, suddenly paying attention. Then he began helping around the house. Dishes, tidying up. Small gestures, but to me they felt monumental. For the first time in years, I saw flickers of the partner I had always wished for. He didn't even realize why he was changing, but I did, and it thrilled me. One night, when he stripped down before bed, I teased him that he was far too hairy. To my surprise, instead of grunting or snapping back, he asked if he could borrow my hair removal cream. That moment was electric. "Of course, my love," I told him sweetly. "Anything to make you beautiful." He actually smiled at that word. Beautiful. As if for the first time in his life, he wanted to claim it for himself. That night, he smoothed lotion over his freshly hairless skin, admiring the silky softness in the mirror. I upped his pills to 3 a day. I told him they were good for maintaining smooth, youthful skin. He believed me. Soon this became a nightly ritual. He'd massage fragrant lotion into his body, inhaling the floral scent as though it belonged to him. His hygiene improved, his smell became sweeter, and with every passing day, the lazy, indifferent husband I had known was dissolving. What replaced him was something delicate, attentive, and strangely eager. One afternoon, I came home from work to find him in my underwear drawer. "Did you misplace something, honey?" I asked casually. He blushed. "No, sweetie. I was just admiring how lovely your underwear is. It's so much prettier than mine." The trap was sprung. "We wear the same size, darling," I whispered. "You can try something on if you'd like." His eyes lit up. "Would you mind?" he asked, timid but hopeful. I shook my head. "No, sweetheart, whatever you like." That was the first time Alex wore lingerie. He slid into my pink camisole and a pair of matching panties, strutting awkwardly around the bedroom as though he'd stepped into someone else's skin. And yet, he glowed. I told him he looked beautiful, and he beamed, spinning in front of the mirror like a shy debutante. That night, he cooked dinner for us both, cleaned the kitchen, and never went back to his male underwear again. From that moment forward, the transformation was irreversible. That weekend, I tested the waters further. Instead of dragging him along unwillingly to the city for shopping, he eagerly followed me from store to store. Women's boutiques that once made him roll his eyes suddenly fascinated him. He lingered over dresses, skirts, tops, his fingers brushing fabrics with longing. "How do I look, honey?" he asked as he twirled in a floral dress in the fitting room. I couldn't hide my smile. He was radiant, happier than I'd seen him in years. I encouraged him, telling him he looked perfect. By the end of the day, we had armfuls of bags filled with dresses, skirts, lingerie, and shoes. He was ecstatic. I told him I noticed his chest beginning to swell. He laughed nervously, but when I suggested we pick up bras before they start to sag, he agreed. That night, he modeled his new lingerie for me, slipping into satin panties, stockings, and a delicate suspender belt. His small breasts pressed against the cups of his bra as he posed for me, proud, vulnerable, and strangely liberated. We laughed, we flirted, and for the first time in years, I felt like I had a partner who wanted to please me. But it wasn't just about clothes. His behavior shifted. He started cleaning without me asking. Meals became gourmet experiments from cookbooks he devoured. He began to read feminine magazines, eager to learn more about his new role. His confidence blossomed in ways I had never thought possible. He was no longer Alex, my indifferent husband. He was slowly becoming Alexa, my beautiful, obedient wife. And yet, this was just the beginning. What started as a desperate wish had turned into something far more intoxicating than I ever imagined. Alexa was evolving, and with each passing day, the life I thought I'd lost forever was being replaced by something even more thrilling, dangerous, and utterly irresistible. When I look back now, it feels impossible to believe that the man I once called my husband ever existed. Alex, the lazy, bitter, disinterested shell of a partner who drained me for years, has vanished completely, and in his place stands Alexa, the woman I never knew I needed but secretly wished for all along. What began as a secret game, an outrageous experiment born of desperation and frustration, has transformed into something permanent, something intoxicating, and something neither of us could ever have predicted. I used to dream of having an attentive, beautiful, and obedient partner, someone who would cherish me, nurture me, and bring warmth into the home I worked so hard to maintain. I didn't leave Alex to find her. Instead, I created her. And in doing so, I ended up with more than a wife. I ended up with a new life. Alexa's transformation was gradual at first, and yet, when I replay it in my mind, every step feels monumental. From the moment she slipped into that first camisole, to the evenings where she stood in front of the mirror, admiring her new breasts, to the way her voice softened into a melodic lilt that sounded more natural than the gruff tones of Alex ever had. Each moment was like watching a butterfly claw its way free from a dull, forgotten cocoon. The more she embraced her femininity, the more the old resentment and distance between us dissolved. Suddenly, the house sparkled with order and care, not because I demanded it, but because Alexa found joy in it. Meals became celebrations, little rituals where she set the table with care and presented dishes that looked like they belonged in glossy cookbooks. Even the air felt different. Gone was the sour scent of beer cans and stale masculinity. In its place came the sweetness of floral lotions, soft perfumes, and the warmth of a partner who actually wanted to create beauty in our shared world. But the changes were not only external. What surprised me most was how completely Alexa stepped into her new identity, almost as though she had been waiting her entire life to live it. She started to linger in front of mirrors, not out of vanity, but out of fascination, as if she was finally seeing herself clearly for the first time. She practiced her posture, her smile, her gestures, every detail carefully shaped until the reflection staring back at her no longer resembled Alex in the slightest. She loved the sensation of silk against her skin, the thrill of slipping into a new dress, the subtle weight of earrings brushing her neck. Even her laughter changed. It rang out softer, freer, filled with a kind of light I had not heard in years. Alexa wasn't pretending to be someone else. She was becoming someone new, someone real. Our relationship changed with her in ways I never could have anticipated. At first, I thought I was molding her into the obedient wife I wanted, but soon I realized she was blossoming into a woman with desires, with confidence, and with passions of her own. She craved attention, not only from me, but from the outside world. When we went out together, she no longer shied away from stares. She invited them. She would strut in her heels, hair bouncing in curls, lips painted in deep crimson, soaking up admiration like sunlight. Men began to notice her instantly. At first, it startled me to see them flirt with her, but Alexa leaned into it with a playfulness that left me breathless. I realized she had crossed a threshold. She no longer identified with Alex at all. She was Alexa, through and through, and she relished every second of it. Susan became a regular part of our lives, as she always had been, but now the dynamics shifted. On our Friday nights out, Alexa was no longer the sulking husband left behind. She was the glamorous companion who stole the room's attention. I remember vividly one night at the pub when a tall man with broad shoulders offered to buy her a drink. I half expected her to decline nervously, but instead she smiled coyly, leaned in close, and allowed him to kiss her in the lobby before we left. Instead of anger or jealousy, I felt a rush of something unexpected: freedom. I had Susan, and Alexa had her admirers. There was no betrayal in it, only honesty. We had evolved past the confines of the marriage I once thought was doomed. Now we were living an open, fearless arrangement that gave all of us more joy than I had ever thought possible. It wasn't long before Alexa asked for her own space. She told me shyly that she might want to invite someone over from time to time, and perhaps it would be better if she moved her clothes into the spare bedroom. I agreed, relieved that she felt confident enough to voice her needs. Soon, her room became a sanctuary of silk sheets, scented candles, and feminine charm. She even bought a larger bed to accommodate the lovers she occasionally brought home. Far from feeling threatened, I encouraged her because I could see how alive it made her. And truthfully, I was no longer interested in competing for her intimacy. I had Susan, and she had the men who adored her curves, her laughter, her radiant femininity. It was not a betrayal of our marriage, it was the rebirth of it. The final step came when Alexa chose to make her transformation permanent. She decided to have surgery, and though part of me trembled at the permanence of it, the other part celebrated it as the ultimate commitment to who she truly was. When she returned, healed and glowing, she was not Alex in any sense of the word. She was my wife, through and through. Every trace of the man I once married had been erased, replaced by a woman who was graceful, affectionate, and full of vitality. Watching her embrace her new body, watching her walk into the world as Alexa without hesitation or apology, filled me with pride. She was mine, yes, but she was also herself, and that was even more powerful. Our life now feels like a dream I never knew I could live. Alexa has become the perfect partner in the home, organized, loving, attentive. And yet she has also become her own woman, full of passions and desires that she shares with others openly. I never imagined I would be part of an arrangement where my spouse had her lovers and I had mine. But here we are, thriving. On Fridays, the three of us go out together, laughing, drinking, attracting attention wherever we go. Susan and I always end up together, while Alexa finds her own adventure for the night. She comes home glowing, eager to share stories of the men who adored her, the compliments whispered in her ear, the excitement of being desired as a woman. And I listen, not with jealousy, but with satisfaction, because I know she is living fully and so am I. Sometimes I wonder what people would say if they knew the truth, that I once had a husband who refused to lift a finger, who drained the life out of me, and that now I have a wife who is everything I dreamed of and more. They might call it madness or cruelty or deception, but to me it feels like destiny. I didn't destroy my marriage. I reinvented it. I didn't lose a partner. I created one who could finally meet me where I needed to be met, and in the process, I discovered a version of myself that is braver, bolder, and freer than I ever thought possible. This is not just a story about transformation. It is a story about liberation, mine and Alexa's. It's about refusing to settle for misery when reinvention is within reach. It's about daring to step into a reality that most people only fantasize about. I once thought my marriage was over, but now, standing here with Alexa by my side and Susan in my arms, I realize it was only just beginning. The woman I now call my wife is the most unexpected gift life has ever given me. Together, we've built a home full of laughter, desire, and unapologetic truth. And no matter what anyone else might think, I wouldn't change a single moment of it.